The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and I hope everybody had a good day yesterday. I wanted to, first of all, say thank you to everybody that reached out in regards to yesterday's episode, which was about the sound of freedom. I honestly did not expect that, overwhelming of a reaction, and it it was very meaningful. I mean, some of the notes I got and some of the comments and some of the messages were just so meaningful. And I really do appreciate that because, I'm not going to lie, that was a difficult episode to record because it was so emotional and like you're looking through this footage and you're listening to things and it was just awful. But you know what? I'm glad I did it. I'm glad you listened to it. I appreciate that. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, I would truly appreciate, and honestly, not even appreciate, I would just really recommend you listen to it. The word's not recommend. I'm blanking on the word. I guess advise. By the way, I don't know if this is a sign of aging or what, but when you're recording a podcast, sometimes you're grasping for words that you should, quite frankly, know. It's pretty funny. It's happened to me a few times where I go to say something and I'm like, what the heck word am I looking for? Okay. Anyway, I really think you should listen to it because children's sex trafficking is not okay. It's not gray. It's black and white. It's not okay. But it's heavy and it's difficult, but we can't put our heads in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist or, look away when people start talking about it because that's just not right. Like those kids deserve better than that. And at the end of the day, we've got to create awareness for this because it's happening. As I shared yesterday, why would people lie about it? If it wasn't taking place, why would they make all this up? The folks that have been skeptical about this and, whether it was the gentleman they had on CNN or the story in The Guardian or what Rolling Stone has come out with, it's like, why would people make this up? What do they have to gain from this? Why would they do that? Anyway, like I said, I really do appreciate everybody reaching out yesterday. And, I'm glad we're not putting our heads in the sand. And I'm glad we're, as difficult as it is, we are paying attention to the situation. And hopefully that will get even more and that awareness will spread even more. So today I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to start off with a clip from Tim Ballard, our hero from yesterday, who actually again testified in front of a House Judiciary Committee. And I just wanted you to hear his words again, because honestly, this dude deserves to be heard. This guy's a beast. He's a beast. Like he does things that, I know I'm not man enough to do, and I doubt very many people are. So I wanted you to hear from him again because he deserves it. And then secondly, I really think, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, but I think that the groundwork and foundation is being laid to remove President Biden. I don't think from office, but to set up a removal for his candidacy for president for next year. And I'm going to play for you a clip from, get ready for it, seriously, from CNN of all places that was aired over the weekend. And it's pretty remarkable how critical they were about President Biden. And if you didn't know the source of this clip, you would definitely think it was coming from Fox or somewhere like that. But I'm going to play that for you. As I've shared before, personally, I think that Gavin Newsom will be the candidate with Michelle Obama. Now, who plays which role, I don't know. But I'm also going to play you a clip from Gavin Newsom in a recent interview that he did with Chuck Todd, so you can kind of see what we're dealing with there. And then lastly, I'm going to also play you the clip. Some people had asked for this because they literally did not believe me about the Diane Feinstein on the Senate floor, where I said that people from her staff or her handlers literally told her how to vote. So I found that clip and I'm going to play that for you as well. So anyway, let's get started. Here is Tim Ballard talking to either a Senate or House Judiciary Committee.
Mr. Ballard, I interrupted you earlier. I think you were going to talk a little bit about how the policies are facilitating human trafficking, and I'd like to give you the rest of my time to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's very disturbing to me because I know how the United States does deal with children. For example, how they should and how they have. I adopted 2 children from Haiti that we had rescued in an operation in February of 2014. And I went through a major vetting process. I rescued the kids and I had to be vetted, and I was happy to be vetted. Home studies, background checks, fingerprints over and over and over again. And I was grateful that the United States government did this. The same would happen to a missing child or an unaccompanied child that showed up by himself or herself in New York City or Washington, D.C. They would be treated like the precious children of God that they are. My question for the administration would be, why don't you treat these foreign children the same way? Why would you let them come in with no vetting, very little to no vetting? And it's not that the number.
To be clear, we're talking about the vetting of the sponsor who takes those children, right?
Correct. It's more difficult to adopt a cat from a shelter in the United States than it is to go down and take one of these children out of the custody of HHS and claim that I'm the sponsor. There's no background checks. There's no fingerprinting. Why would you afford a foreign child much less protection than you would an American child? I think it's despicable, frankly.
So he was talking about the vetting process of adopting a foreign child. And so, that's important too, because you got to be careful who's adopting any child for that matter. All right, let's get into this CNN piece on President Biden. Again, this is unprecedented in my opinion, and this is the foundation or the initial building blocks of a potential plan to replace him as the candidate for next year. All right, give a listen.
He has done, I don't know if it's similar things, but he's sort of told some stories that don't line up quite like this before.
This president has a pattern at this point of either inventing or embellishing stories about his own past, his biography. He did it 3 times in one speech last month alone. He claimed he had witnessed a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh when he actually showed up about 6 hours later. He claimed that his grandfather had died just days before he was born himself at the same hospital. In fact, his grandpa died more than a year before in a different state, not the same hospital. And he also repeated a favorite false story that I and others have debunked over and over again about a supposed conversation with an Amtrak train conductor he was friends with, who was actually deceased at the time the conversation would have had to take place. And that's not all. There are some more serious ones, in my view. Previously in his presidency, he claimed at one point he'd been arrested during civil rights protests when, in other versions of the story, he just said an officer had taken him home from a protest. He said he had visited the Pittsburgh synagogue where worshipers were killed in a 2018 mass shooting. In fact, he had actually spoken to the rabbi, but never went. And he's made a whole bunch of others too. He said at one point, Republicans like to bring this up, he said that he used to drive a tractor trailer, he used to drive an 18-wheeler. Never happened. The White House later clarified he used to drive a school bus at one point as a job briefly. School bus, of course, not an 18-wheeler. So whatever his intentions, whether it's foggy memory about stuff that's going on decades ago or deliberate embellishment, this is an unfortunate pattern that keeps coming up again and again with Joe Biden.
That was Daniel Dale, CNN fact checker, delivering a laundry list of Biden inventing lies. Okay, that was pretty nuts. That to me was the signal of Operation Plan B. And Plan B is Gavin Newsom. All right. For those of you that are fans, and I know a lot of people who are, here's an interview that he just recently did on NBC with Chuck Todd. And so, I'm actually not even going to comment on this. This is going to be the first time I've sort of introduced some material on him. So I'm just going to let you listen to this, and then we're actually going to move on. All right, give a listen.
During COVID, you were pretty strict with the lockdowns here. And there was an interesting piece in Harper's that sort of was critical of your decisions from this perspective. You found a way to allow the motion picture industry and the sort of the movie industry to get back to work. But you didn't allow people to grieve together at funerals or at churches. And that this may be why there's such a polarized disconnect. What you prioritize, right? This is this anger between the populace and the elite, supposedly. Here you prioritize this industry, but you were tougher on those that just wanted to go worship. What do you say to that, Chris?
I think there's a lot of humility, and we didn't know what we didn't know, and it was hardly it was we collectively.
I understand that.
I think all of us, in terms of our collective wisdom, we've evolved. We didn't know what we didn't know. We're experts in hindsight. We're all geniuses.
We didn't know what we didn't know, and it was hardly it was we. That's a leader. That's a leader. All right, sorry, I couldn't resist. I said I wasn't going to comment, but I did. Okay, anyway, last but not least, here it is for all you naysayers. And I did get people that are like, oh, dude, you made that up about Diane Feinstein. Nobody told her what to say on the Senate floor. Well, okay. Jeff, you know who you are. I told you if I find it, I'm calling you out. Here it is, my friend.
Senator Feinstein.
You say aye. Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
To say.
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just aye.
Thank you.
There you have it. How do you like those apples, Jeff? No, Jeff's a good friend. And we made a deal that if I found it, he said I was allowed to call him out. So I'm not going to give his last name, and I guess he's lucky he's got such a common first name. All right. Anyway, that is it, everybody. Have a good rest of your day or your evening or whatever. And remember, all we can do in this crazy, madcapped world we are living in is call a spade a spade. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon.
This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.